Welcome to The Explainer. Today, we're heading deep into the murky depths of the Amazon River. We're here to uncover the truth about a creature that has literally fueled nightmares for centuries. Yep, we're talking about the world's most feared fish, the piranha. We're going to separate the terrifying Hollywood myths from the actual, fascinating biological realities. Let's get right into it. Are piranhas really man-eaters? Okay, let's just confront the elephant in the room right off the bat. Or I guess the monster in the river. We all know that classic Hollywood nightmare, right? Some poor explorer falls off a boat into the Amazon, the water instantly starts turning, and literally in a matter of seconds, they're just completely stripped to the bone. It is an image permanently burned into our collective pop culture consciousness. But you gotta ask yourself, is that terrifying scenario actually real, or is it just a massive cinematic exaggeration? Section 1, the ultimate biting machine. To answer that question about cinematic exaggeration, well, we kind of have to validate your fears for a second here. Because a piranha's physical arsenal, it is terrifyingly perfect. Their teeth are uniquely triangular and literally as sharp as a professional razor blade. But it's not just the sharpness that makes them so formidable, it's the actual design. They're built to interlock perfectly. So when a piranha takes a bite, the upper and lower teeth snap together exactly like a steel trap, making absolutely sure that whatever gets caught in there is cleanly severed. But hey, sharpness is really only half the story. The other half is just raw, unadulterated power. Scientists actually made this jaw-dropping discovery about the black piranha specifically. Get this, it possesses a bite force that is 30 times its own body weight. 30 times! Their jaw muscles are just absolutely massive compared to the rest of their body, which honestly makes them one of the most efficient biting machines in the entire natural world. To really put that into perspective, if you were to scale up that kind of power to human size, a black piranha biting with 30 times its body weight is basically the equivalent of you or me having enough jaw strength to bite straight through the metal chassis of an entire car. Literally biting through a car. Just let that visceral image sink in for a second. With that kind of power, it is absolutely no wonder they've earned such a fearsome reputation. Section 2. The Omnivore Twist. Okay, so here is where our story takes a pretty sharp turn. Yes, obviously, they do eat smaller fish, but their actual day-to-day diet is way more complex than that. Piranhas are surprisingly omnivores. They happily feast on things like seeds, fruit, and insects. I mean, it's kind of mind-blowing to think that these so-called movie monsters will just casually munch on a piece of fruit or a seed that drops down from the jungle canopy into the river. Suddenly, the mindless, bloodthirsty carnivore is starting to look a whole lot more like, well, just a regular, opportunistic river fish. So understanding their actual behavior is super crucial here. We always picture them swarming in these massive, highly coordinated packs to take down huge prey, right? Well, here's the truth. They don't actually hunt in packs to attack larger animals. Nope. They swim in those big schools mainly for protection. Why? Because in the vast ecosystem of the Amazon, the piranha is actually prey. They group together simply to avoid being eaten by their own predators, things like caimans and river dolphins. So they're really just schooling out of a basic need for safety, not some primal desire to hunt in a mob. But wait, where does that whole legend of the churning, boiling water actually come from then? Well, it comes from a very specific, very extreme environmental trigger known as the dry season frenzy. You see, during the dry season down in the Amazon, water levels drop drastically, and when that happens, food becomes incredibly scarce. Suddenly, you've got hundreds of piranhas trapped together in these tiny, shrinking pools of water. It's only under these extreme, high-stress conditions of near starvation and tight confinement that their famous frenzy instinct is truly triggered. It's a desperate survival mechanism, a last resort, really, not at all their everyday behavior. Section 3. Will they eat humans? All right, let's finally address the most burning question everyone always has about human interaction. We have to contrast the Hollywood myth, you fall in and you're just gone in 10 seconds, with the actual Amazon reality. And that reality is that indigenous people who live along the Amazon River swim in these exact same waters every single day, completely without incident. The honest truth is, piranhas are generally very shy creatures. They actively avoid us. Now, to be fair, bites do occasionally happen, but we really need to look at the incredibly rare triggers that actually cause them. Honestly, the vast majority of recorded bites are just minor nicks on fingers or toes. A real full-scale attack usually only happens under super extreme circumstances, exactly like what we just discussed with those starving fish trapped during the dry season. The only other major trigger? A strong scent of blood in the water. For these fish, blood acts quite literally like a dinner bell. It just signals a potential easy meal for a creature that is, right at its core, just an opportunistic scavenger looking for a free lunch. Section 4. The Amazon's Cleanup Crew. So we really need to completely reframe the piranha's reputation here. We've got to take them from this cinematic villain to what they really are, an essential ecological guardian. Let's walk through this critical chain reaction step by step. First off, they act as the river's dedicated cleanup crew by quickly scavenging dead and decaying animals. Because they do this so rapidly and efficiently, they actually prevent the dangerous spread of disease, and that in turn is what keeps the river water clean and habitable for literally thousands of other species. Ultimately, without the piranha doing all this dirty work behind the scenes, the entire biological balance of the Amazon would probably collapse. Which brings us to our ultimate takeaway for today. Piranhas are definitely not the monsters from the movies. They just aren't villains. They're highly specialized, incredibly efficient survivors, just doing exactly what nature intended them to do. They're absolutely vital, widely misunderstood creatures, and honestly, they demand our respect, not our blind terror. So we've broken down the Hollywood myths, we've examined their razor-sharp biology, uncovered their super surprising diet, and learned exactly how vital they are to the survival of the entire Amazon River. Which really just leaves us with one final, kind of provocative question for you. Now that you know the actual truth, and you understand that they're mostly just shy scavengers rather than mindless man-eaters, would you be brave enough to swim with them for $10,000? Really think about it. Thanks for joining me on this explainer, and as always, keep questioning what you think you know.